Hey folks, this is Jake Davis with the Wrestling Recap for you. It's actually my third wrestling video in a row. I need to watch a movie, don't I? Anyhow, today I'm talking about WWE Backlash 2020, live last night from the Performance Center. We're still on this nonsense. Hopefully next month when we get to Extreme Rules, we'll actually have an arena with some real bang fans who are a little more cynical and won't actually scream and cheer for every move because they're paid to. Anyhow, this was 2 years. They didn't have a backlash for 2 years, and that was after they kind of dropped it off for the bulk of at least the first half of the 2010s. I'm glad to see Backlash come back. Backlash has always been a bit of a fan favorite pay per view, but the very last one they did in 2018 was unfortunately in my opinion the worst worst pay per view WWE's ever put on ever. Anyhow, there were 7 matches last night. 7 matches. So let's get right into it. The opening bout was a triple threat match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. It's Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, versus the brand new champions, Sasha Banks, and the SmackDown Women's Champion, Bayley. This had a lot of fast action. It had the weird new triple threat. I don't look, if you're gonna have tags, it should be two legal people, not three legal people. There should be the rest advantage. That makes the match more intriguing to me, and less a little bit just a tighter. It's just a tighter match all around. So this is a high energy match, really fast paced. These girls really know each other well. They're pretty much all in NXT at the same time. And yeah, man, a lot of playing off, a lot of feeding off each other, making everybody look good. And this one, I gotta say, Nikki Cross looking like the valiant babyface, just getting beaten down. Finally gets a hot tag to Alexa Bliss. And who would ever thought Alexa Bliss would have worked so well as a babyface over the last almost year now? The finish comes where they Alexa and Nikki hit Peyton Royce with it was basically the snapshot, the old double team finisher from Eminem. But it's it's not quite botchy, but it's not smooth. It looked like they could have possibly really hurt Peyton Royce with it. Hits a snapshot. Alexa hits a sparkle splash. But before she can make the cover, Sasha Banks runs in, rolls her up, and the Boss and Hug connection retain the women's tag team titles. Great heel body language from Sasha Banks, and oh my God, Bayley is great as a heel. I was so worried about her heel turn last year, and just really doing a great job as a heel. But I just was loud mouth and arrogant. You really want to see her get her ass kicked. But yeah, Sasha Banks was really the MVP of this match. It was a good match. I enjoyed this match. It was a good opener. Good opener. Up next was a grudge match. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. Now, they've kind of really rushed through the story. The whole deal is that during the IC title tournament, Jeff Hardy's car had supposedly hit Elias, who's now out with an injury. Kind of uses a write-off injury. And they found alcohol in his thing. He was deliberate. Whatever. It's very early in the morning. He was basically claims he's an innocent man. Says he was set up by Sheamus, and now him and Sheamus are gonna fight. Then there was Sheamus demanded a piss test for Jeff Hardy to qualify for the match. Jeff just pissed in a jar in the ring and then threw it in Sheamus's face. Like a little bots thing. So they can't do this backstage. This isn't a backstage segment. Seriously, of all things, it was stupid. But the thing is, all this was just in just over 2 weeks. It really just ran through this story so fast. So here we are for this grudge match, and like I said, the whole thing is Jeff Hardy's getting Hardy's head, calling him a junkie, and all this kind of stuff. A valiant, a traditional, vintage Jeff Hardy match here. He gets thrown around a lot. He does a lot of hope spots. There's one really cool spot in it where Sheamus gets him up in a vertical suplex instead of going back or throwing him or anything. He just charges forward and smashes his knee and just drops him knees first onto the ring post. Really innovative. I've never seen anything like that before. Really cool. The finish here comes around where Jeff's fighting back, hits a twist of fate, hits a swanton, but Sheamus gets his feet in the ropes at the 2, rolls out of the ring. Jeff goes after him. Jeff's up on the barricade, charging around at him. Hops off the barricade, bam! Eats a brogue kick right to the face. Sheamus throws him into the ring, second brogue kick, and Sheamus wins. Now, I'm sure this isn't over, and of course, whenever he comes back, Elias is probably going to get involved. Who knows, maybe this might escalate into some kind of angle with AJ Styles for the IC title, since it all did kick off during the IC title tournament. So who knows where this is going to go. But I do have a thing. So you got Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Sheamus, and Jeff Hardy. 4 of your solid main eventers all working the IC title storyline when, Roman Reigns is gone right now. And, say what you want to, I'll get to Braun Strowman. But I really think the main event field on SmackDown is a little lacking, a little weak right now, especially since Corona. But, yeah, they why are all their veterans wrestling for the IC title? Anyhow, next up is the, what was it? Raw Women's Championship match. Asuka defending against Nia Jax. This storyline, I didn't say anything about it because I did speculate where Becky Lynch was at Money in the Bank. Turns out she's pregnant. She's dropping the title. She gets Asuka's champion now, and we get to this. And one thing about the Sheamus Jeff Hardy, in my opinion, real quick. I thought it was a good match. I do think it went probably about 5 minutes too long. The middle slow down section of the match, I was ready to move on. The match did kick back up and get my interest in. By the time we got to the finish, I was reinvested, but the match went long. Talking about this being a long match. Oh, wait, the main event. Anyhow, So Nia Jax and Asuka, and I could barely pay attention to this. This match was not holding my interest. I love Asuka, but Nia Jax is just always the same. I'm not a fan of hers, and considering how sloppy and careless she is as a performer, I don't understand why she gets getting pushed. I'm sure it has nothing to do with her family lineage. Excuse me. So, and every time Asuka and Nia Jax fight, it's either a draw or Nia loses, and this was no exception. People bitch about Asuka. It seems like she always loses to Charlotte. But, don't give a fuck about Nia Jax always losing to Asuka because no one likes her. Yeah, they're fine. I don't even remember how they got on the floor. They're on the floor, they get counted out. And there's no brawl to the back. It's just a draw. It's a double count out. The referee rings a bell, hands Asuka the belt, and they just leave. It was really a nothing match. It had no reason to be on the pay-per-view. And I guarantee you, despite Charlotte not having a belt, despite her not being involved in this pay-per-view in any way whatsoever, and despite Asuka and Nia clearly having unfinished business, I guarantee you tomorrow night or tonight on Raw, that the women's story on Raw is going to go right back to being all about Charlotte, because of course it is. Next up, a handicap match. I don't know why I said it like that, for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman is defending against The Miz and John Morrison. Now, right before the match, backstage, Miz and Morrison are told that the stipulation's been changed, and whoever gets the pinfall is a champion. They can't be co-champion. They can't share the champ like best friends, which is bullshit to me, because it's okay for the New Day or the Freebirds or New Jersey Triad or the NWO to share their belts with their buddies. It was okay for Team Like Cool, but why is there this thing with the world title? I mean, if you wanted to get proper heat, have them walk around with each guy having his own Universal Championship and acting like they're the co-champion, and you could get some proper heat with that. But they didn't go that route. This is actually a really funny match. Lots of cowardice tactics from the villains. Lots of great facial expressions from all three. All three of these guys are funny, and they do try to play the match funny. The finish comes from just unbelievable, because they don't really turn against each other, Miz and Morrison, but it's that instinct that costs them the match. Morrison hit Starship Pain. He got some pinned, and just out of instinct, thinking triple threat or whatever, Miz pulls him off, and he's like, "Oh shit! No, go back, pin him!" Morrison, what the hell, man? So he goes to pin him. He kicks out. Uh, then Braun divides and conquers the running power slam or the running stampede, the Davy Boy splash. They put that on Morrison, and Braun Strowman retains the title. The theory, the obvious theory, is they're just kind of killing time with Strowman till SummerSlam, to where he'll most likely have a feud with reprise his feud with Bray Wyatt. Now this time he'll properly fight the Fiend, or they may renew his feud with Roman if Roman's back by then. I think Roman and Braun had good matches, but their Hell in a Cell from a few years ago was such a debacle due to no fault of their own. It was purely booking problems there. And who knows? Maybe we get something. Maybe we should get something different. Like a proper triple threat between these guys. A triple threat we haven't seen between three really big, really fast, very strong men. I'm literally just thinking out loud here. Next up is the WWE Championship match. Now, Drew McIntyre defending against Bobby Lashley with MVP in his corner. Now, I like them putting MVP with Bobby Lashley, and the whole kind of thing has been playing here is that MVP has kind of been planting seeds, looking to separate Lana and Lashley. Basically saying, just 2 weeks. A couple of weeks with me as his manager. Now he's the number one contender. Now he's got a pay-per-view WWE title match. This is a good match. Before the bell rings, Lashley got Drew McIntyre in the full Nelson and just holds it forever and gets him in a grapevine, really wrenching and pulling back on it. What a better, to be credit, a full Nelson, which I can't believe people in the 21st century are still using that as a fucking finisher. But to its credit, he's probably got the nastiest looking one I think I've ever seen. And so he really holds in for a long while. Drew McIntyre, the referee, do you want to do it? Yes, let that buddy man. He starts up. What the fuck that was? They ring the bell, start the match, and it's a while before McIntyre even gets his coat off. It's two really big, strong, fast guys beating the shit out of each other, and yeah, they really go all out. Go hell for leather in this match. One of my favorite spots is one of my favorite McIntyre spots, anyways, when he does a reverse Alabama Slammer. That's nasty. That's a nasty looking move. The finish comes where Bobby Lashley's over in the corner, McIntyre's in the other corner. He's counting down to the Claymore kick. He runs, bam! He gets speared. Bobby Lashley is the second best spear in all of wrestling, only behind Goldberg, obviously. Pins McIntyre. McIntyre kicks out. Then Lana comes down to the ring to try to give him some support, give him that extra edge. For some reason, stupid reason, gets up on the apron, totally distracts Bobby Lashley. McIntyre pushes Lashley into her. She falls onto MVP. Lashley turns around, Claymore kick, and Drew McIntyre retains the title. After the match, Lashley and MVP. MVP walks right, like staring holes at Lana, who's still on the ground. Walks right past her. Lashley walks up, stares at her, and then follows MVP. Leaves his wife, kayfabe wife, on the ground, hurt, low life. I mean, Lana's a really despicable heel, but damn, man, that's fucked up. We have an interview backstage with AJ Styles. Which is, oh man, it sucks. We could have booked AJ Styles. Why wasn't the IC title finals part of this show instead of the Asuka Nia Jax match? Anyway. So he's basically talking about he is the greatest champion of any kind in the history of the WWE. Anywhere, for that matter. And this Friday night on SmackDown, he's going to have the greatest championship celebration ever. Bet you a nickel he gets jumped by The Undertaker. Anyhow, before we go to the next madness, we cut to Samoa Joe, who's doing commentary now, of course. Looking right into the camera. He's going, congratulations, AJ Styles. This is a great time for you to go home and spend some time with your family. call back to their feud 2 years ago, and I just love the idea. It doesn't matter if Joe's not wrestling right now. It doesn't matter if AJ Styles is a heel right now. It doesn't matter if they're on both different shows right now. They will always be star-crossed mortal enemies. Throw Christopher Daniels in there too, man. It's like the TLC rivalry between the Dudleys, the Hardys, and ENC will always be anticipation for them to clash again. Man. Anyways. That's, I guess you could call it a match. What is scheduled is a Raw Tag Team title match. The Street Profits against the Viking Raiders. But we go to the parking lot where they're already fighting. And my first thought is, why is this a backstage brawl when this whole rivalry has just been not only comedic, but friendly, good-natured, you know? Hell, they've come out and, I can't remember who it was. Somebody jumped one of the teams a couple of weeks ago or last week, and the other team came out for the save, you know? So they're not really feud. I mean, they're feuding, but it's not it's not a blood feud. Anyways, they're fighting, but this is some crazy shit. Let me try to run through this for you. Okay, so they're fighting in the parking lot, and they smash Braun Strowman's windshield. Second time in like 2 weeks his windshield's been smashed, by the way. And they run away. Go run into the building, where then they find golf clubs, and they're gonna, the Street Profits got golf clubs, they're gonna sword fight with them, and the Viking Raiders pull up shields out of nowhere like a cartoon. And Eric got an axe, but Ivar got a bowling ball for some damn reason, and the Street Profits just say, "Fuck it, no." And they run, and apparently they go running into the Red Room from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And they fight in there for a while, after they decide to drop their weapons and fight like gentlemen in a backstage brawl. Ivar's down, and then we cut to, I shit you not, a dream sequence. A dream scene of him, like, eating a turkey leg or some stupid shit. He wakes back up, it's him and Ford in the hallway. He throws a bowling ball into Ford's nuts. We go back outside. Ivar catches up with Eric down the floor, then he, boom, gets tackled by Dawkins through a glass door. And we go to another dream scene with Ivar. What the fuck? They get up, they go outside, they kind of slow down. They're like, "Man, why'd you throw me through the door? Why'd you hit me with a bowling ball, man?" And then all of a sudden, Akira Tozawa shows up, speaking Japanese with subtitles, with a pack of biker ninjas. Wrestling. You gotta love it. So yeah, then they go into straight Avengers kind of thing. They all got their weapons and their Tron and the heroes. Now they're the Viking Prophets. And they go toe to toe, they beat up all the ninjas, and then this giant Debo ninja walks up, and Ivar summons a turkey leg, like fucking Thor calling Mjolnir. Like, go to battle with him. But the guy draws a sword, and the four baby faces just run off. And the ninja shit's just over. They go to the top of an equipment truck, and then they start arguing over who beat up the most ninjas. And then, I swear to God, it sounded like Dawkins yells John Cena before he bulldogs Eric off the top of the truck into a dumpster. And then Ford gets pushed in there. I mean, really comedically, kind of stuff. And then Ivar just says, "Fuck it," and he jumps down on him. And then all four of them are laying down there in pain in the cleanest dumpster you've ever seen. And the chick, and yes, we go to a third dream scene of Ivar's in this match. Just a highlight package of the last few weeks of all the chicks saying, "You're cute, but you not so much," talking about Ivar and Rowan, Eric. The chick referee shows up. She does that gimmick, "You're cute, you not so much," and then the bit ends with the guys running from the garbage compact monster from Star Wars. I loved it. This was simultaneously the best and worst thing I've ever seen in my life. You just had to see it. That was insane. That was so fucking stupid. But oh my God, I laughed the whole time. Okay, main event time. The greatest wrestling match ever. Edge versus Randy Orton. This is literally how they promoted the match. The greatest wrestling match ever. Before the match starts, they even tell you that we have, in a real world, in a perfect world, this match would be taking place in front of dozens of thousands of people. But WWE is bringing you state-of-the-art camera and sound audio and state-of-the-art technology to make this match the greatest match ever. So basically telling you it's pre-recorded, we had takes, we're amping up the sound. Uh, it's crazy. They come out and oh my god, that song, I hope I never hear Panic at the Disco as long as I live again. I hated them. I hated them back in the mid-2000s, and there is no reason for a comeback. None. Anyhow, and oh my god, that song is awful. That is awful. As far as The Greatest Showman goes, I'm a guy who seeks out pretty much any movie. Just for the sake of having an opinion on it. Especially films that are award winners and blockbusters. That movie was both, and I still avoided it like the fucking plague. Fuck that movie. I care less about a goddamn auto-tune musical about Barnum Bailey. Anyhow, we have the Madison Square Garden mics. You know this is North Florida, right? We are far from the Garden. I mean, there's only so much ridiculousness I can handle here. And we have the ghost of Howard Finkel introducing the men. And they could have found some actual footage of Finkel introducing them. You think they would have been, instead of just grabbing like the soundbite from like 2K19 to play. Anyhow, yeah, the match it's very edited and it's very, very bright, and you can tell the sound is, I think there's even put in sound. There's one point in the match where I could see plainly that you hear Samoa Joe on commentary really excited and talking about how these men are so desperate, when you could see Samoa Joe in the background not speaking. He's not even talking. Now, this match goes a good 45, maybe closer to an hour. This is a very, very, very long match. If you include the post-match shit and, you know, the package and entrances and shit, it was over an hour, or at least an hour. It's a good match, man. It's a really, really good match. If it took 4 days and 60 takes to get what they got last night, it was worth it. It really was. I mean, because I understand, man, to keep both performers, plus the commentators, plus the crowd at maximum energy through the whole time. It was really trying to get... over the last few weeks, since WrestleMania, we've seen these matches in a cinematic style. Basically, wrestling matches trying to be movies. But no, this was a movie trying to be a wrestling match, which I liked. I mean, look, they go to tie up, and the camera is underneath them looking up. What? That was great. One point in the match, Edge is on the announce table. Oh, they're both on the top rope. Edge starts headbutt crazy on Orton. Orton falls off to the floor and gets up. He's been bladed. And he's laughing off the blood. One point, he's slamming Edge onto the announce table, and he get really close, and he's breathing really hard. But I swear to God, Randy Orton says, "I'm going to fuck your wife." They get back in the ring. And then Finisher City starts. And I don't mean these guys hitting their finishers over and over and over again like you get with Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins. This was him going into the bag. You know what I mean? First, Randy Orton's going for he's going for the Three Amigos, the Eddie Guerrero set, but Edge blocks a third one and hits his own Three Amigos. Then there's holy shit, I can't keep track of it. Orton hits a pedigree, kick out. Edge hits a rock bottom, kick out. And there was a lot more. Edge hits an Olympic slam, he kicks out. It was crazy. And then, the finish. There's all kinds of shit towards the finishing sequence. Orton hits an RKO, kick out. 2 spears from Edge, kick out. Back to back, not kicked out of 2 spears, but he hit a spear, waiting for him to get his second spear. Edge kicks out. Edge goes for a springboard, turn around out of the corner, catches him his second RKO. Edge kicks out. Edge eventually locks in his new submission finisher, that ugly thing. Same thing Jack Swagger's using. He's calling it anti-venom. He's sinking in. The referee's out of position. Edge knees him in the nuts. Orton knees him in the nuts. Edge drops down. Orton backs up into the corner. hits the punt. I haven't seen him. He goes for it every once in a while, but like they told him to stop using it. The punt was great. He hits the punt, pins Edge, and wins the match. Great match. Tremendous, spectacular match. After the match, Edge is in agony, laying on the ground, eyes wide open. Orton leans into him and says, "I told you, Adam, go home to Beth and the girls and tell them Uncle Randy says hello." It was great. The show ends with Edge refusing medical attention and wanting to leave the ring on his own feet. I had a great time. I thought this was an absolutely magnificent show. This was, considering everything going on as far as lack of attendance, money being down, half the roster being fired or refusing to work, and just the general kind of bummed out everybody is, bummed out or pissed off one. This was a great show. This was a really, really, really good show. Back-to-back shows, man. I mean, I would prefer the more darker, old-school aesthetic that we had for In Your House. I wish they would have kept that up. But, man, the in-ring action, for the exception of the Nia Jax-Asuka match, which was bleh, and just, some of the Sheamus Jeff Hardy match, which just went long. Nothing wrong with that. I would definitely recommend watching this show. In fact, I think you got to see the show. At least those last two matches. They are so insane. But yeah, I got to give high praise mostly to Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley for telling a great story and having a terrific match. And that I don't want the pre-recorded matches to overshadow the stuff that did happen live last night. Anyhow, that was my review. I think it was a terrific display of WWE once again backed into a corner and pulling it off. Anyhow, hope y'all like this. Oh, fuck, this went really long. Hope y'all like this video. I'm Jake Davis, and I'll catch you on the fly.